broadcasting from across the North American continent of the Terran Empire, bringing you our unpopular Star Trek opinions since 2020. This is Code 47.
Back again, a new dawn over here on the Code 47 podcast. I am your humble servant, Trek Lord of West Michigan, Charlie Carden, captain / president of the Star Trek International Fan Club, the USS Grand Petoskey, based right here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And if you're watching the video tonight, you're seeing that I have a new cohort. There's a new guy sitting in the chair. He came with his own really well-decorated backdrop like I have. Everybody, this is Peter Stein. Peter, say hello.
Hey, everybody. As Charlie said, I am Peter Stein.
Yes, Peter is also a member of the USS Grand Petoskey. And the question to anyone listening to my voice, particularly if you live in Michigan, West Michigan, is why aren't you also a member of the Grand Petoskey? But we can talk about that another time.
You can join with me and be crewman number 6.
Crewman number 7. But Peter, you're new. We're kind of embarking on a new format here over on Code 47. Peter's going to be on with me. First of all, we're going bi-weekly. It's just a matter of life. It seems to be crunching it out every week. It just got to be really difficult. And I don't want to give the folks who listen to our show kind of a subpar experience. So I wanted to have a little bit more oomph every time we do the show. So it might result in some longer shows, but hopefully in some better content. Secondly, Peter is going to be with me for 4 episodes, or basically 2 months. And then we're going to see the return of Katie Quinn, who has been with us over on the Secret Friends Unite Prime show. She not only did 2 great episodes in a row encompassing the Eternals, and I can't remember what the first thing is we talked about, but she was great. She's a friend of mine from the cosplay community, but she's going to come on and talk a little bit about Star Trek The Next Generation Season 2 in the returning segment, which Peter very aptly named as, Peter, what did you name it?
It's been a long road.
It's been a long road. So if you haven't watched Enterprise, pay attention. But yeah, so that's the way that's going to be. And Katie's going to be on with me for, again, 4 episodes. And then we'll segue back and forth. So Peter, myself, and Katie will be the kind of in some cases, non-interacting hub while I just kind of keep the balls juggling, keep the 3-ring circus going. But without further ado, Peter, tell us about your Star Trek background, please.
Well, I have been a Star Trek fan as long as I can remember. Grew up on The Next Generation. Technically, I grew up on the reruns. Wasn't conscious enough to actually notice when TNG was running. But grew up on TNG reruns and the original movies. Didn't actually start watching many of the other series until I got to college because we just didn't have access to them. Mm-hmm. But started watching Deep Space Nine. Loved it. Eventually got into Enterprise and Voyager. I was actually one of those dweebs that when Enterprise came out was like, the timeline's all messed up. And then I watched it. Then I watched it. And I was like, that's fine.
That's fine. It's fine.
So,
you know what, Peter, if there were only more people out there that would covet that opinion, there would be a lot less strife in fandom. It's fine. You know what? Mandalorian and Baby Yoda, it's fine. Clone Wars, it's fine. Star Wars Holiday Special, it's okay. We're not going there. We're not going there.
That might be a little too far.
Yeah, it's like saying that, you know what, Star Trek, the original animated series, it's fit. No, okay, it's not fine. But
it's
regardless,
got its moments.
We talked about that some episodes back, and Rich Davenport, who will continue to be a collaborator, along with, of course, Erin will pop up from time to time. You'll remember her from Passing the Show, and then Paul Moderman, who was on with me recently. Everybody is still going to play the Code 47 game, but at any rate, I would say that Rich and I were not fans, but you know what? Infinite diversity and infinite combinations is what Star Trek is all about. So if you love it, do not yuck on someone else's yum. That is SFU rule number 1, or it's definitely in the top 5. But anyway,
tertiary directive.
Without further ado, we're going to jump into segment 1, which we're foregoing talking about news. We've done good not really talking about news. I would say if a news story comes up that's pivotal, and if it's timely because we're bi-weekly, we'll work it in. But other than that, we're going to talk about Star Trek episodes and occasionally movies. So we have And I was actually corrected by this because we are not going to have two programs running at once because Star Trek Prodigy is going on break until January.
Yep.
Which I didn't know until I looked it up this evening. So shame on me. But at any rate, since Paul and I were doing our Trek Sherpa thing over the last 4 episodes and talking about 2 great episodes and 1 lousy one, we didn't really talk about new episodes. So we actually have 5 new episodes to talk about, where we're going to do it kind of at a rapid pace because we don't want to bore you, our faithful listeners, to our voices too much. So without further ado, we're going to kick it off. Just this past week, we had the first episode of Discovery Season 4 here in the United States and Canada, not for our international fans. Todd Oxtra and I over on Secret Friends Unite talked a lot about international distribution rights and what a mess that was. And this is really at the center of it, but I don't want to dwell on that too much because I want to talk about Star Trek. In summary, after months spent reconnecting the Federation with distant worlds, Captain Michael Burnham and the crew of the USS Discovery are sent to assist a damaged space station, a seemingly routine mission that reveals the existence of a terrifying new threat. Sounds like an episode of the old Fox television show 24, which I've been watching recently. There was a disaster. We fixed the disaster. Here's a new disaster. So
it's like Mr. Incredible. I was the man.
Exactly. So Whiz Bang Pow, we're back with Discovery. We've not had Discovery Season 3 aired through, I think, February of this past year. I think
so, yeah.
Something like that. It was not that. So, we didn't wait too long. But yeah, Peter, what did you think?
I thought it was a decent start. It was pretty well paced. The visuals were pretty good. I thought the fire on the bridge was a little weird to nitpick.
How so?
Because it wasn't like a panel blew up and there was fire. It looked more Mad Max to me. Like there was a vent and fire came out multiple times on a regular basis. It was just one of those, what?
I did not catch that. Yes, we packed extra fire for this mission.
Yeah. That's just it was just one of those things that I was just watching going, wait a minute.
I know.
But other than that.
Yeah, this episode, it had a real gasp because April and I always get up. We watch this first thing on a Thursday morning because we're early risers because the cats need their treats and the dog needs to go outside. So we're like, we're up. We're going to watch Star Trek. But this episode had a real gasper of a moment because we get at the end where, spoilers, pardon, when you see Quajon destroyed by that big, wave. And again, gravimetric disturbance. The argument can be made, the tail's wagging, and I'm sure if Todd was here, he would say, "Oh boy, space anomaly." But it was, it was the Nexus explosion and remember from Star Trek? What did he have? Some kind of wacky torpedo. He fired it into a star. It created a gravity wave. Yeah. Or you had the Hobus supernova, which destroyed Romulus, and that was in the JJ movie, and it was also part of Picard. So. I mean, are we afraid that this episode is going to be like, oh boy, there's a friggin' space anomaly, and then is that going to be something that carries us through the season? Because
probably based on how Discovery seasons have gone in the past, my guess is this is going to be something that runs the whole gamut of the season. Which
any early theories as to what's going on?
It's quite possibly something that has to do with a rupture in the space-time continuum due to the fact that Discovery came from the past.
Really? Okay.
Which I know is really out there, but to be perfectly honest, the explanation for the disaster in the previous season was pretty out there too. So.
Yeah, they're not going with anything too non-sci-fi. Yeah, the burn and what was the burn? And it was, they traced it back to... It
was a kid screaming at the same resonance frequency as Dalila.
Right, which could only friggin' happen in Star Trek. So I can't... there are really no solid disagreement with theories after the first episode when it's clear that you have a show that over 13 to 16 episodes is going to, much like I likened it back to 24, the old show on Fox that I love with, Jack Bauer, Kiefer Sutherland. There was an A plot, and halfway to a third of the way through, it would be resolved. But that wasn't really it. And sometimes you get that 3 times in a season. And, let's hope it's not quite that hokey. Let's hope that I was fairly satisfied with the burn and kind of how that was resolved, because it was weird and you didn't see it coming. And isn't that really in a lot of ways what you want?
Kind of. I wasn't super happy with it, but that's me.
I mean, I know that's the beauty of it. You can really, it's any way that you can slice it. So anyway, the episode Kobayashi Maru was the first of, I'm going to say without looking, 13 or 16. In this episode, it'll run pretty much continuously, unless I'm mistaken, for the next 13 to 16 weeks. And then say what? Say that again?
I haven't heard about a break, so
yeah. I mean, I was surprised enough to hear about the Prodigy break, so I'm not. That looks like it comes back in January. But anyway, yes. Maybe it's because they have a shortened season and they want to stretch it out. I don't know. I did not look into it, so shame on me. But speaking of Prodigy, we did get that release now 4 weeks gone by. This is an entirely a program. It's an animated program. Done in what I think is fairly nice, kind of 3D animation. It's not quite like, Rebels on the Star Wars side, which was a little grainy. It wasn't quite like Clone Wars before it, which was not great. I was not a fan of the animation style. This seems a little bit more down to earth, but none of the characters are human, with the exception of the ship's emergency training hologram, which we'll talk about in a minute here. So at any rate, first of 4 episodes called Lost and Found is episode number 1. A group of lawless teams exiled on a mining colony outside Federation space discover a derelict Starfleet ship, which I still don't get, but we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Dal, he's the head purple kid, must gather an unlikely crew for their newfound ship if they're going to escape Tars Lamora, but the diviner and his daughter Gwen have other plans. Dunt. Can I get a dunt? Dunt. Peter, what did you think of this first episode?
I actually quite liked this.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely very different. I was definitely getting more Avatar, The Last Airbender, and some Rebels vibes from it in terms of structure.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I thought that this first episode was pretty well structured. I thoroughly enjoyed the Universal Translator gag.
Totally.
I love a good Universal Translator gag, especially when I can't remember her name.
I'm already dragging with these character names. I remember Dal and I remember Gwen and the diviner and Janeway and the guy who keeps referring. It's
Jacob Pog. I remember his name because he keeps saying
his name. He's Bob Dole. He's Bob Dole.
Yeah.
He's Space Bob Dole. That might be what I call this episode. We'll see. Because I always try to draw from the episode something wacky to title it. So
yeah.
But that was cool. But the premiere date, which is 3 weeks gone by, because the first 2 episodes and they're they're half-hour segments for 22 minutes, whatever it is. Because this does air on Nickelodeon, which means there would be space for commercials, but you and I assume both watched it on Paramount Plus. I have a commercial free. Then
I still saw the commercials.
Right.
But gotcha. I must say, I prefer the commercials on Prodigy than on Discovery.
Oh boy! Is it because it's on CBS? There's a lot of boner pills and cholesterol.
I don't remember exactly. It's just the Discovery ones are all like super serious and all this stuff, and the other ones is like, eat your Frosted Flakes. Yeah, I can deal with that.
You're like, okay, I can do that. I like that. But anyway, yeah. So during the same broadcasting, we got episode 2, Starstruck, even with the guidance of their hologram advisor, Catherine Janeway, because at the end of the first episode, they find the protostar, this perfectly preserved ship, somehow crashed on this mining planet deep enough in the Delta Quadrant, because again, one of the alien species that was recognizable was the Kazon. And I always like to point.
Yeah.
Let me make sure that. I got to go back here. I always like to point, and I wish I could zoom, but this is the map of. This is the Alpha and the Beta Quadrant. Over here. Hold on, let me keep. Right where my den light hits. Nice. You see the Milky Way galaxy. Okay, if the Federation is here, Voyager landed here back in 2371, first season of that show, which is, and only for about a year or so, were they in contact with Kazon. So that means Protostar is probably at a minimum 60,000 miles away from Federation. 60,000 miles, 60,000 light years away from Federation space, which is a lot. So it's interesting. Why is the ship there? Why is there a Janeway on it?
Yeah.
I just
The thing that
don't
kept going
know.
through my head when they were showing the ship was if you've ever seen Hunt for Red October, there's a point where the senator looks at the Russian ambassador and goes, "You lost another submarine?" That's the only thing that went through my head when I saw the protostar sitting there was, "You lost a starship?" Like,
Yeah,
how did they
exactly.
do that?
Right? Yeah. Did it conveniently fall into a wormhole, land perfectly intact, and the Janeway hologram was part of it? And you got to remember that chronologically, they've told us that this is about 5 years after Voyager gets home. So
Yeah.
in that time, they took Janeway, modeled her as a hologram wearing her old uniform, because again, when they got home, they weren't wearing those uniforms anymore. I know I'm nitpicking the hell out of it, but that's what I do. And I know we're really in the weeds here, so
Yeah.
I'm waiting for some clarification. So anyway, I'm sorry. Back into talking about Star Trek. The crew of the USS Protostar is tested when their ship is on a dangerous cosmic collision course. So we kind of segue into what I finally call a filler episode, where they're like, "Oh my God, space anomaly! Okay, it's all set."
Yep.
Missable, but
I
in
mean,
some ways, it's a kid show. So
yeah. It also
our
did
set,
what
yeah.
what good kid shows do and allow for characters to bump up against each other and do stuff while there's nothing dangerous going on. At least
True.
extremely plot relevant danger.
Well, I was going to say dangerous to the fact that the ship was going to get crushed by a interstellar
It was
whatever.
gonna
But
fall into
yeah,
a star and burn up. But
I get that. So anyway, moving along, we get a 2-part episode. This one I really enjoyed, but it absolutely dug into some great Trek lore from. There was an episode of Enterprise that was very similar to that, where they were on an episode and there was an alien race using simulating the pleasure centers of their brain and making the crew see things, but most notably the shore leave episode of the original series, which we missed talking about because it was in season 1, and we're going to talk about season 2 of TOS here in a minute. But the episode is called Dreamcatcher, fairly aptly named in my opinion. The crew has their first away mission on an undiscovered planet that manifests their deepest desires, only to realize the planet has desires of its own. So, so yeah, we get a series of here's my greatest dream realized. I think it was, and again, we're not doing great remembering the names of these new characters, which is bad. But the Brain Card character, the pink Rocky one, sees cute little puppies and is chase the puppies, whatever it is, and then it becomes a little bit more and more dangerous because it's kind of reminds you of the later season episode of Voyager where they get stuck inside the critter that's making all the crew think that, hey, we're getting home. We just have to do this thing or that thing. And it's really, they're all passed out and they're hallucinating. Yeah. So this was kind of like that because it was the overall idea that it wanted to absorb their life force because that's just what it does. But it also gives Gwen a chance to escape the brig where she's been for the past 2 episodes, and to hijack the ship, which doesn't end up working out because she manages to kind of crash it and kind of also get thrown off of it at the same time. So now they're marooned. The ship is who knows where, and that's how we end up in the next episode. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Terror Firma is the episode 404. Marooned on a deadly planet, the crew must work together with their captain Gwen to stay alive. Except the planet isn't the only thing in pursuit. Peter, what does that mean? Who's pursuing them?
Well, we finally get an actual confrontation between our intrepid crew and the diviner. So Gwen's dad actually shows up. And the interesting thing is that they throw in the dynamic where I was wondering if they were going to do this, where they finally pit Gwen and the diviner head to head, and there's a rupture,
right,
where he picks the starship over her, and excellent storytelling bit there,
right?
It keeps her on the ship, it gives her motivation, and it was a good character development moment. We got to see a little bit more from her, and we got to see what motivates the diviner, which, I mean, we kind of guessed from the first couple episodes, but this kind of put it into sharp relief,
right,
of what he was. And we got to finally see the kids all working together. Like they finally learned the lesson of the previous episode,
right.
The D&D adage, don't split the party.
Right.
Don't split the away team.
Keep it going. Make it work. Exactly. So good stuff. Shows the show's off to a good clip. But yeah, this episode ended with them like activating the ship, and a third engine pops out the back, and then it goes into super warp drive. And where are they going? And again, we've been teased for the fact that this show is going to give us returning characters such as Robert Beltran as Captain Chakotay. Oh, I can't wait for that. And then 2 new crew members voiced by, I think, David David and by, oh my God, I'm drawing a blank, but she was on The Good Place. We talked about this quite some time back. But anyway, really notable voice actors. Yeah, very, very exciting stuff. So yeah, looking forward to that. So that we're getting a little break for that, but then it will return. So yeah, awesome. Well, that brings us to the close of segment 1, and then we're going to shoot on into segment 2. Peter named this segment, as we teased a little bit earlier. It's been a long road. Earlier in the show, in the 59 episodes that we've been doing Code 47, which is a little over a year, it became the mission of me personally, and it kind of came and went, but with Peter's suggestion, it kind of came back, that I wanted to, during the course of doing the show, however long it is, to the very best of my ability, I wanted to find a way to touch every single episode of Star Trek and every movie. Maybe skipping the JJ movies, just kind of push them to the side. But I definitely wanted to. Okay. We're not going to talk about that. But we are going to talk about, all the episodes of the show. I was absolutely super interested in doing this. So where we left off, we got all the way through the first seasons of every show, including Picard. And it brings us back around again to Star Trek, the original series. This is season 2. I decided to split it into 4 parts because I thought it would help us kind of keep, as opposed to talking about 12 or 13 episodes in a single fell, because these old seasons had 26 or 30 episodes, that we would break into something a little bit more bite-sized. So we're going to be addressing 6, maybe 7, maybe 8 episodes kind of at a time. And so we're going to kick it off with season 2 of the original series. Episode 1, which aired in September of 1967, was Amok Time. Peter, if you would be so kind to read the summary.
All right. When Mr. Spock begins behaving aggressively, Kirk discovers his first officer must return home to Vulcan to be married or die. Kirk disobeys his orders from Starfleet Command to visit Altair 6 and decides to save Spock. Spock, Kirk, and McCoy land on Vulcan, where Spock takes them to his family land to begin Ponfar. They meet T'Pau and T'Pring, only to find that T'Pring wants a duel and chooses Kirk as challenger. Kirk accepts the challenge, thinking to let Spock win, but is later told by T'Pau that it is a challenge to the death. During the fight, McCoy gives a neurotranquilizer to fake Kirk's death. Upon victory, Spock asks T'Pring to explain her decision and decides to not marry her. After beaming back to the Enterprise, Spock is overjoyed to see Kirk alive.
Awesome. Yes, he has quite the reaction. Jim! Yes. Good stuff. Yeah, this was a great episode. Obviously, it coined the famous dun 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 boom 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 boom. Sorry, yep. I like to sing in all my shows, and I couldn't pass that.
Classic TOS music is very much so.
Well, this also gave us the classic TOS, and I think you saw it throughout the rest of the series. The classic bass riff, dum dum dum. Dum 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 dum. Yeah, God, this was great. The fight between the two of them. You're getting obviously the knowledge of the Ponfar, which continues to play out not only for the character of Spock, but you see it with the Vulcan characters in Star Trek Voyager, both in Ensign Boric and then again with Tuvok. Because even at his age, I mean, I guess there is no male menopause with the Vulcans. They just keep
never really address it.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
I don't know.
You don't see that happening with like Sarek, for example, because he was over 200 years old when he passed away, and he had a first human wife that was Amanda, Spock's mother. He married a woman named Perrin. You don't know how long they were married, but if they ever had children, it never came up. So you don't know. Yeah, you don't know if they hit like 150. They stopped. You got to take Vulcan Viagra or something to keep things going. I have no idea. Vulcan Viagra. Just found the name of the episode. Winning.
There you go.
Speaking of things that don't need Viagra, that would be in episode 2, Big Green Hand, or Warrants for Adonis.
Yes.
I'll read the summary here. The Enterprise is held captive within an energy field which is controlled by an alien who claims to be the Greek god Apollo. Apollo commands Kirk to meet him on the planet's surface. Bones, Chekhov, Scotty, and Lieutenant Super Hot Carol Palamas, interesting, accompany Kirk. Apollo demands the crew to worship him as a god at his temple, which obviously that's going to go great. Captivating Carolyn, not big surprising, and attacking Scotty when he disobeyed. Doesn't he die like 2 or 3 times this episode?
He dies at least once. Yeah.
Dead and back again. Spock finds a way through the energy field, no big surprise, and helps Kirk in taking down the temple that is the power source for the energy field. Woo! There's a lot going on here.
Yes.
This is a little bit more kind of silly, but in a way kind of like, well, that's where the Greek gods came from. They were from this planet, and they were really just critters. And I'm trying to remember he had an extra organ in his body.
Yep. He had an organ that could convert worship into energy.
Exactly. So that is how the Greek gods were able to subjugate human beings in the time before. So that was cool. There's another great episode. I think it's either later in season 2 or maybe in season 3, the Requiem for Methuselah, which you find out
that's also a good one.
Yeah, an ancient character, an ancient being named Flint, living on a planet that you found out that he was Beethoven, he was Methuselah, he was Picasso, he was all these different things because he was very long lived. So I love that kind of sci-fi-ish kind of take on this. So I enjoyed this episode, but again, Carol Plum, it was funny. I picked up just yesterday this book, Star Trek Costumes, which was recently published that my wife really wanted, but I was at a toy show and it was a $60 book I got for $25, so I was pretty happy. But the back cover, it is just Carol Palamas in that outfit, and it's just like, it's all over for me. Oh, all right.
About this episode,
please.
It shows up later, if you've ever seen X-Men Apocalypse, as the thing about the new X-Men movies is they use old school Star Trek to give you a teaser of what the main plot's about. And so you see this in the background. And so it's in the first 5 minutes and you're like, oh, that's what this movie's about.
Right.
It follows the plot of this episode.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, exactly. There was, we went to go see a movie last night and it was called Belfast. And it was kind of the a stylized childhood of actor-director of the film, Kenneth Branagh, and growing up in Belfast in 1969, and they were watching an episode of the original Star Trek. So I'm like, oh, it's so perfect. I love it. Good stuff. Yes, I love seeing Star Trek pop up in other geek media. I love it. So, all right, episode 3 is The Changeling. Peter, this one's all you.
The crew of the Enterprise deals with Nomad, an indestructible planet-destroying space probe that thinks Kirk is its creator. The space probe is beamed up, and after completing the analysis, Mr. Spock reveals that its real creator is Jackson Roy Kirk, a scientist from the 20th century. Spock enters the mind of Nomad and finds out the space probe was destroyed when another alien probe somehow united with Nomad, deleting the original memory banks and giving the new machine a new objective: sterilize all units which are imperfect. When Nomad takes control of the Enterprise, Kirk tells Nomad the truth, making it realize that Nomad itself is flawed and it must destroy itself. Star Trek The Motion Picture is in part an expansion of this episode.
Ooh, I like it. I guess. Maybe it was because of all the scripts they wrote for the super quickly canceled Star Trek Phase 2. They had to do something with them. Some of those scripts actually for that show, and if you're not familiar with the theory, Star Trek was going to be revived in 1978, and they got right down to the wire, and they said, oh, Star Wars came out. Screw this, let's make a movie.
Yeah,
and so there were
screen tests online. They're
absolutely,
crappy, and they're there.
They're crappy, and they're all wearing the original uniforms, which to me, I've never liked the TOS uniforms. I'm going to go on record as saying absolute least favorite. I would even wear, and I own two, Peter, you know this because you've seen me in them, two uniforms from Star Trek The Motion Picture, because I think they have more style than the stupid, like, oh, it's a green shirt. I'm not a fan. Sorry.
I mean, aside from TNG Season 1, these ones are the closest to space pajamas you're going to get.
It's very true, which they literally make pajamas themed after these uniforms that look almost identical.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. You could.
It's not a good thing.
It wouldn't pass muster at a Starfleet thing, But if you went
Right.
to like Comic-Con and you walked around and no one would bat an eye. They'd be like,
If
oh, look,
if you were quote unquote a civvy, yeah, don't show up to that shit at my booth. That just is, that will not. Peter knows that I'm a little firm about costuming when you're
Phaser set to
representing our club.
stun.
Yes, exactly. Make sure your pips aren't shiny. Don't bring that shit around here. But anyway, it was a fun episode, and again, kind of like here's this weird thing from the past that actually turned out to be deadly or whatever.
And Scotty died again.
And Scotty, oh my god, 2 episodes in a row.
Yep.
I want to you see. It's funny because they say, "Oh, the red shirts are the ones that die." Scotty dies, but he comes back. Also, Uhura, who also wears a red outfit, nearly dies because she gets her memory erased.
Erased.
You know, who the hell would ever wear a red shirt? I also get super annoyed anytime I get somebody who approaches me and makes a red shirt joke when I'm wearing an obvious TNG outfit. I'm like, get the fuck out of my face.
I always turn and look at him and be like, no. This era is equal opportunity offender.
Right, exactly. You see plenty of red shirt deaths even in TNG. So let's keep it fair. So all right, next episode, again, we're on episode 4 of 6 that we're going to talk about tonight is Mirror, and oh my god, this is the episode that launched 1,000 in-universe spinoffs. A transporter mishap slips Captain Kirk and his companions into a parallel universe where the Enterprise serves a barbaric empire instead of the Federation. Kirk, Bones, Scotty, and Uhura try to look normal while figuring out how to get back to their universe where the crew of the Empire beamed. In this universe, Mr. Sulu tried to kill Captain Kirk to succeed as captain of the Empire, but fails and was sent to the booth that was actually Sulu. Whoops, bad. Right up. Spock.
What?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, who the hell wrote this? Thanks.
I mean, Chekhov was in the booth, but
yeah, check out. Yeah, Sulu didn't try to kill at the end, but yeah. Spock on Empire. This is a mess. Spock from the Empire receives a command from Starfleet base. Was this written by an AI bot? Well, this is a mess. But anyway, all right. I'm tossing this out. I'm just going
check
for
that
it.
one.
I'm going for it. So basically, what happens? I mean, you caught the first part. Spock is captain with the goatee, which is a famous leitmotif that's been spoofed all over the place. What basically happens is, you know, they our 4 crew members engineer an escape. Spock catches Spock catches them at the last moment, but still lets them go. But the seed is planted as to
seeds of rebellion.
Exactly. The fact that your empire is illogical. This episode spun off several plot lines of Deep Space Nine, Enterprise, and most recently season 1, 2, and 3 of Discovery, because we had the Empress Georgiou, Michelle Yeoh's character that went on until that time. And she departed that show for parts unknown, so she might show up again. So I would say the Mirror Universe, this episode in particular, probably spun off one of the most, concurrent themes that you see time and again across everything, because it did touched every show except Voyager and TNG. Yep. Every other show had a component of something mirror related. So I love it. And again, in doing this rewatch, I didn't even watch this one again because I'd seen it so damn many times. But I probably should have. Yeah, I probably should have proofread this summary, which is garbage. Yuck.
Yeah.
So I did, however, rewatch this next one because I hadn't seen it in a while. So Peter, this one's all you.
Oh boy. The Apple. The crew of the Enterprise visits a mysterious and deadly paradise planet, of which there are many, where they discover it is controlled by a machine called Vaal. The crew, which includes Kirk, Spock, Bones, and Sulu, and a unnamed female crewman, are enchanted by the planet, but encounter a strange flower that kills 2 members of the landing party.
Whoops.
Wait. Yes. Okay.
Are you running?
I was just like, wait a minute. Is this? It's the right one. A mysterious bolt of lightning hurts Spock and disrupts the transporter room of the Enterprise. The landing crew finds a group of men and women who are controlled by Vaal. Vaal restricts their knowledge of human interactions, such as sexual intercourse, and has the island inhabitants feed it the explosive mineral found on the island in order to fuel itself. Vaal orders the inhabitants to kill the landing party by morning when it becomes clear that they represent a threat to the island inhabitants' current way of life. Scotty finds a way to route all of the power to the ship's phasers, while Kirk and The page ends. Bones prevent Vaal from being fed any
Line!
more explosive minerals. Vaal loses strength as a result and becomes vulnerable, which allows the Enterprise to fire phasers, killing Vaal and freeing the inhabitants. This one is not one of my favorites.
Not exactly at the top of Peter's early season 2 list, huh? What didn't you like about it?
Part of it, I think, is this one I hadn't watched all the way through, and I've seen enough evil computer controls planets that this was just another one of those, and an evil computer is controlling the planet.
Right. I mean, we'd already had the Return of the Archons in season 1,
Exactly.
Landru, which
and
we got
Landru
a great...
is way more interesting.
Very true, because Vaal doesn't do
No, it's
anything.
just like, we don't know anything.
Yeah, it's like it controls them, but it doesn't do...
No.
It doesn't have any kind of intelligence.
And then it does
it's not like it's like Vaal wants Vaal angry. It doesn't do anything.
No,
so it's like
feed me.
Yeah, exactly. It's Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors, but it's not doing anything. So who cares?
No, I mean it can like pew, and that's that. It can shoot lasers from its eyes and hurt red shirts, and that's
right. It's a planet that otherwise is like, well, it's got poison darts, and it's just basically kind of a crappy planet. So it's like, why didn't we just like, we're doing a survey? Oh, people are dying. Let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
But
and then
Vaal.
And then the episode does like one of my least favorite things when Star Trek does it is like, let's sit around awkwardly and talk about sex. Great.
Well, yes, when the bee pollinates the flower, awkwardly talk about sex. We just got the name of the episode.
Dodge around the question, have people swallow nervously, and Kirk go, hey, Spock, how about you explain it? And Spock goes, It's like, okay.
Oh, my goodness.
That's just one of the things that, it happens in like all of the shows. I just don't care for it.
I'm not disagreeing with you there, my friend. I'm not. So yeah, it's passable. No, it's not passable because again, it doesn't really have any great social commentary, and again, it plays on a theme right up there with one of my favorite things Captain Kirk does when he outsmarts and or talks a computer to death. Mm-hmm. That I like, but like when he talks the M5 to death in not the Doomsday Machine, which is the next episode, but the Ultimate Computer, which was, I think it's still coming up this season. So I think we're going to be talking that.
Yeah, I think it is.
I love that episode, but again, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. But episode 6 is the Doomsday Machine. Now, this is October of 1967, so we're still in the second year of the program that it's been on the air. But after losing the entire crew to a planet-eating alien machine from another galaxy, run into those all the time, quite frankly. Commodore, this is one of the first Commodore characters that we really get to mess with. So somebody who outranks Kirk, but he's not a snooty admiral, which we get a lot of in TNG. That's like a real staple in TNG.
Yeah, the term that I've heard used is badmiral, which I kind of
badmiral.
Like. They're all annoying.
Disagree. Well, yeah, you don't really run into a great admiral at all anywhere. I mean,
there's some that are okay, but a lot of them are kind of jerks.
Well, you have Kirk, of course, who's an admiral in the films, but he's still Kirk, so he's a character that we ostensibly already like.
Yeah,
but
the admiral in Best of Both Worlds, whose name is escaping me,
Admiral Hansen. He is good. He is good, and he dies for it. But yeah, we get a handful of admirals in Voyager, which are not great. Just a handful again, and then we have Anthony Zerb's character, who's the admiral in Star Trek Insurrection, whose name Admiral Doherty, real bad guy.
He is,
and he gets, he gets it too. He's real sneaky, what. Yeah. But yeah, anyway, yeah. So he outranks Kirk, and he doesn't have a problem throwing his weight around either. So yeah, Commodore Matt Decker pulls rank on Kirk in order to play a game of cat and mouse with the mechanical adversary. His efforts to destroy the menace place the Enterprise in grave danger. This episode served as the backstory for the Star Trek 25th anniversary Game Boy game,
and in fact, Starfleet Command on PC.
Oh, there you go. Look at that. It's a twofer. Very good. I love this episode. This was one of several that really benefited from recomposited effects in 2006 for the 40th anniversary of the series. So what they did at that time, and as Peter knows, I have all of the discs of all of the series, only of which, very sadly, Star Trek, the original series, and TNG are in high definition that are on Blu-ray disc. When you pop one of the TOS discs into a player, which Peter and I did when we were recently at Grand Rapids Comic-Con working our booth, it does give you an option when it brings up the menu on one of these original series discs to play either the 2006 version or the original version from back in the day. I have never looked back. I don't want to see those disgusting old episodes. I don't want to see that poorly composited Every Other Planet is Green or Deep Red or something. I love the modern aesthetic, because it still maintains the integrity of the action, and it maintains the integrity of the story, but it makes it so that you can stomach it for a modern audience. Because I can't look at Super Fuzzy Enterprise with Super Fuzzy Planet and Twinkling Stars. So this really does a great job. And again, the Doomsday Machine is this like big, long, like it looks like it's like a conch shell in space, where the front of it is just escaping mauve, blinking energy, and it fires basically an energy beam that can destroy an entire planet. It crippled the Constellation, which is another Constitution class ship. So it's the same as the Enterprise, but really in the original series, the original episode, it was composited to be all kind of jankied up and stuff.
It was actually a AMC kit that they
exactly.
Store. It was safe budget.
Yeah, which they didn't have to do much with. But again, in 2006, when they remade the episode, they did it great on one when the cell was all
so
jank and
better.
Big old chunk of the hull was missing. And it really worked. So yeah, it was Kirk's mission to get this thing running and then to turn around and mount an attack. In the end of it, Decker sacrifices himself. And even though it is strongly intimated but never directly spoken, Matt Decker has a son, Willard Decker, who is the captain of the Enterprise at the beginning of Star Trek: The Motion Picture. Again, it's never been directly stated, but is widely thought to be the case, who also sacrifices himself for the sake of a mission. So, quite frankly, to a machine. The Deckers, they really aren't so bad, even though Matt Decker, kind of a dickhead, likes to throw his weight around, but in the end, did the right thing to save lives.
From PTSD and eventually figures it out.
Exactly. So, with, and again, I find Will Decker to be a lot more heroic from the jump, but regardless. So anyway, so that's it. That is the first, I'm going to call it almost quarter of season 2. And again, I would call Star Trek is a show that kept on failing upwards until it finally failed downwards, because it's a show that got canceled 3 times. They tried to get rid of it at the end of the first season and the second season, and then finally they made it stick. It's like it's like dating a girl and breaking up. It's also like going to the refrigerator, taking out a gallon of sour milk, taking a big chug of it, and wondering why it tastes bad. But no, that wasn't the case with Star Trek until you got to season 3. But we're not there yet.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yes, exactly correct. So that is our show for this bi-weekly period. So, Peter, you, as my second chair, have the honor of reading our outro. So please engage.
For more information about Starfleet International, please visit Grand Petoskey and/or Region 13 on Facebook.
Oh, yeah. Friends, as always, thank you for joining us. I'm going to tell you, as always, that sharing is caring, and to keep on trekking.
Peace and long life.
Code 47 is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for our great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, or the podcast platform of your choice. If you would like to be part of the conversation, visit our new Discord server, or join us on Facebook, or follow us at Secret Friends U on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends on YouTube, and don't forget to visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.